Payday 2 is one of the most adored stealth games to ever be released. Developed by Overkill and Starbreeze Studios, it boasts a unique gameplay with a lot of freedom given to the players, as well as very innovative missions and mechanics. The storytelling was also great, keeping the community engaged in its deep and mysterious lore until the final reveal. The customization was also incredible for the time, with a lot of possible loadouts, perks and skins available to the player. Unfortunately, the game is slowly dying. The engine doesn't run great on new hardware, there are still tons of bugs, the missions are getting repetitive, and the balancing of the guns still isn't fixed. That's why, when Starbreeze announced that Payday 3 was in the works, players got very excited. A couple of months ago, I asked the community what they wished for in the third installment of the franchise, and I am going to summarize the answers I got in this video. I'm Flying Fish, and you're watching what the community wants for Payday 3. A game's quality is often judged on its gameplay. Indeed, games such as Neo and Nier Automata are, technically speaking, ugly looking, but are still praised by journalists and gamers for their amazing gameplay. This is why we'll focus on gameplay for the first part of this video. With Payday being an FPS franchise, weapons obviously are a huge part of the gameplay experience. First off, a lot of players wanted a bigger variety of guns. Even though Payday 2's arsenal is not small, with more than 80 guns as of today, they all pretty much feel the same when you play them. Of course, there are some exceptions like the Judge, but usually, once you have used a shotgun, you have pretty much used them all. Along with new guns, the community wished for a new way to unlock attachments. Indeed, grinding continental points, side jobs and gauge courier in hopes to get the attachment you need really isn't that fun, especially for newer players. A way to improve this would be making them purchasable with offshore money. You would, for example, buy a level 1 attachment like a muzzle, and you would need to pay money to upgrade it until it reaches its max level. Sure, this would mean grinding to reach the attachment's max level, but it also means players who have less time to invest in the game can't get the attachment they want. Now, let's bring out the big guns. Oh, I hate this joke. DLC weapons. Overkill should make sure that every weapon added after the release, whether it is through an update or the purchase of a DLC, is properly balanced. The pattern of adding new weapons, accessories and skills and then needing to rebalance the whole game is getting pretty tiring. In Payday 2, Overkill had to completely reset the whole skill tree, which angered many players, so we don't want to see this happen again. We talked about the weapons, but what about the skills and the overall balancing of the game? Some people, under my post, suggested that armors and health should be nerfed, as players seem to withstand heavy attacks too easily, especially in difficulties like very hard and lower. Once you get a full body armor in these difficulties, you're pretty much immortal, as the amount of damage inflicted by the enemies is simply pathetic. This could also be achieved through a rework of the shield system, by turning off the shield auto-regen and forcing players to pick up shield plates, much like in Rainbow Six Siege with Rook. According to some players, the competence tree should disappear or be reworked. Indeed, these players wish for a more role-based game, a similar system as the one found in like Team Fortress 2 or pretty much every MMORPG. We would then have roles such as the healer, the technician, the brute, etc. This change would emphasize the cooperative aspect of the game, as the heisting would now mainly be about synchronization and team play. On the other hand, it could also make solo heisting more difficult, as you wouldn't be able to do everything by yourself. One thing that has always bothered me is the amount of difficulties there are in the game. Normal, hard, very hard, overkill, mayhem, death wish, and death sentence. This is 7 different difficulties. It is absurd. Ideally, Payday 3 would only have 4 difficulty presets: normal, hard, the old very hard, overkill, the old mayhem, and death sentence. This would make it easier to understand, but you would still have options like one down you could toggle on or off in the heist settings for more challenge. Finally, let's talk about the heists themselves. Don't get me wrong, they're great, but for years now, the community's been asking for one thing and one thing only: 7 days heist. Having long heists like that take 2 or 3 hours to complete would be so much fun for a heisting night with friends. We also want to see more stealth-only heists, as these are, in my opinion, the most well-designed and most enjoyable heist of the franchise. Finally, Story Mode. Released in 2017, the Story Mode let players, and especially newcomers, discover the story of Payday 2 by making them play through most of the heist in chronological order. This is something we want to see released with Payday 3, not 5 years after. It's so much easier to have a game mode guide you through the heists in the correct order rather than trying to piece together in what order to play them. Now that we're done with the gameplay, let's talk graphics and frame rates. Even though a game can be very good with outdated graphics, like the original Metal Gear Solid on PS1 that is still a masterpiece to this day, 2020 games heavily rely on graphics to create an identity for themselves. I and the community believe that Payday 3 should have much more beautiful graphics than Payday 2, along with a better optimization for newer hardware. The graphics I think would suit Payday 3 the best would be Call of Duty Cold War's ones. They look realistic and beautiful, the lightwork and reflections are great, and the environment is very detailed, while still being fairly easy to run. In order to achieve this, Overkill should stop relying on the old and truly awful Diesel 2.0 engine, and instead use a newer one like Unreal Engine 4 or the upcoming Unreal Engine 5. The game should also integrate DLSS, as it truly is an amazing technology that enables game to run at the highest settings at much higher FPS than it normally would. Along with better graphics and frame rates, the game should also feature better AI. Payday 2's AI feels very old school, linear and artificial. Enemies have scripted paths with scripted reactions to everything you do. It becomes boring, especially when you know exactly where an important NPC will spawn in the mission or how the enemies will react to everything you do. NPCs should react in a more realistic way to your presence and be more than simple moving targets. An example of great AI is The Division 2's one. Even though this game definitely has its flaws, AI predictability sure isn't one. The NPCs react in an unpredictable and realistic manner to the player's actions, and the enemies hide, move, work together, create attack strategies rather than simply rush you in the open. This is definitely what Payday 3 needs, an unpredictable AI that keeps you engaged and on your guard the whole heist. The console part of the community also wishes for a better and longer lasting support of the game from Overkill. Since 2019, Payday 2 has received no updates on either PlayStation or Xbox, whereas the PC version received dozens of patches as well as new heists, guns, and characters. This is really unfortunate, as a good part of the community is made of devoted console players, who more than deserve the content we got on PC as they paid the same price for the same game. While talking of platforms, we can also bring up the subject of servers and, most importantly, crossplay. Payday 2 did not support crossplay, which was normal at the time of its release, but in 2020 and moving forward, there really is no excuse to not implement a way for all players to play together, whatever their systems may be. To finish on the technical aspect, the game obviously needs to be less buggy than Payday 2. On my first ever run of No Mercy, I got soft locked after cutting the wires because the script for the alarm and the police never started. Being locked by the game and needing to restart the whole heist even though I did everything perfectly is really the most frustrating thing that has happened to me and many players on this game, so it would be best if Overkill could correct as many of these bugs as possible before releasing Payday 3. With gameplay and technical aspect out of the way, we are only left with purely visuals and quality of life improvements to talk about. First off, it would be really nice to have actual animations when our character is picking a lock, hacking a device, or other contextual actions. Indeed, staring at a circle that fills itself feels really old and outdated, and I have no doubt players would actually enjoy seeing the character's hands at least move when doing these actions. Talking of the characters, or shall I say heisters, Many Redditors suggested adding the possibility to create and customize your very own Heister. This is an available option in many games, and it really adds to the experience, as you can create either a character that resembles you, or a character that you find funny. For my part, I know I enjoy creating characters in game, and I recently spent 30 minutes customizing my avatar in Monster Hunter World, so that's a change I'm 100% in favor of. Another Redditor suggested something even more unique and interesting, the possibility of recording our own voice pack for the characters. As many of you may know, in Payday 2, each character had their own dialogue lines, their own puns and punchlines, each recorded by a different voice actor. In Payday 3, we could choose voice lines and puns amongst a list of sentences and then record them ourselves so that our very own customized character can have our own voice. In case you still don't understand, take the example of the app Waze, a very popular GPS for car traveling. In the app, you can either use a standard GPS voice or record your own lines, repeating what the app tells you to say so that it may use your voice as a guide for when you drive. Adding this to Payday 3 would be pretty hilarious, and I think it could be a feature that draws a lot of attention towards the game. Last but not least, let's talk of the visuals and the sound of the weapons. I believe Overkill should work on modeling the weapons after real-life guns, as it could add a touch of realism to the game. They could also use real-life noises of the weapons, such as reload noises, empty magazine noises, and, most importantly, the noise of the weapons when you shoot it. All of these would make for a more immersive experience, and it's something a lot of players are after. Weapon skins are also a pretty big thing, and I think they could be even better than they were in Payday 2. In Payday 2, the skins were a little lackluster, honestly, and really weren't that attractive. I am someone who really enjoys good-looking skin, CSGO, but I never found myself wanting a Payday 2 skins, as they were pretty generic and boring. I just hope that Overkill goes the way of Valve and let the community design the skins to then integrate the best looking ones into the game for all players to use. But don't get mistaken, Overkill. As much as I want good looking skins, I still despise loot boxes more than anything, so don't you try adding some to the game. In conclusion, even though I criticized Payday 2 during this video and brought up quite a lot of things Overkill did wrong or should fix in the game, I still have hope and believe in them for Payday 3. Yes, they have difficulties balancing the weapons in Payday 2. Yes, the gameplay is getting old. Yes, the game is a little buggy, but, after all, Overkill always came through for the community, offering an amazing support, constantly working on new content, and fixing the game even to this day, 7 years after the release. All in all, Overkill is a studio full of experienced and talented developers, and I have no doubt they'll use all their love and knowledge to make Payday 3 a memorable and truly next-gen experience for all heisters. Hey guys, Flying Fish here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed working on it. I put a lot of effort and time into that video. So if you have any comments about the video, or the subject, for example, you feel like I missed a point in the video, or there's another improvement I didn't talk about you want to see in Payday 3, please feel free to comment it. I will gladly read all the comments. I would really enjoy it. If you also have comments about the video itself, for example, a critique or something you think I could improve in my video production, please comment it. Critique is what makes you better, and I would really enjoy having things to work on for my next video. Apart from that, feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed it. It would be really appreciated. Feel free to subscribe also. I will try to work on more YouTube content from now on. And also, I'm live on Twitch every Friday and Saturday during school time, but right now we are on a Christmas holiday, so I'm live pretty much every day. So the link is gonna be in the description. It's twitch.tv/FlyingFishTV. So thank you so much once again, and I hope to see you guys next time. Flying Fish out.